In this video, you will learn what the producer surplus and consumer surplus are and how to determine the producer surplus, consumer surplus, and total surplus. Simply put, the producer surplus is the benefit gained by producers corresponding to the difference between the market price and the price at which producers would be willing to sell their products. In terms of graphical presentation, the producer surplus is the area between the supply curve and the equilibrium market price. A similar concept to the producer surplus is the consumer surplus. The consumer surplus is the benefit gained by consumers corresponding to the difference between the market price and the price at which consumers would be willing to purchase the product. In terms of graphical presentation, the consumer surplus is the area between the demand curve and the equilibrium market price. As for the total surplus, it is the benefit gained by both consumers and producers corresponding to the difference between the market price, the price at which consumers would be willing to purchase the product, and the price at which producers would be willing to sell their product. In terms of graphical presentation, the total surplus is the combined area between the demand curve, the supply curve, and the equilibrium market price. You already learned that the supply curve shows the price at which producers are willing to sell their products. On this graph, the supply curve reaches its minimum in point C at $2, meaning that suppliers require more than $2 in exchange for one loaf of bread. Similarly, the demand curve shows the price at which consumers are willing to purchase one loaf of bread. On this graph, the demand curve reaches its maximum in point A at $10, meaning that consumers are only willing to purchase a loaf of bread if it is below the price of $10. In this example, the equilibrium price is $6. This means that consumers who are willing to pay more than $6 for a loaf of bread will benefit in this market because they will be able to purchase bread at a lower price than they would be willing to pay. Similarly, producers who are willing to sell a loaf of bread for a lower price than $6 will also benefit in this market because they can sell their product at a higher price than they would be willing to accept for their product. The exact producer surplus is determined by the area between the supply curve and the equilibrium price. In our case, the producer surplus is determined by the CBD triangle on the graph, which is colored in yellow and is equal to 16. You can get this number by multiplying the CB side by the BD side and dividing it by 2. The exact consumer surplus is determined by the area between the demand curve and the equilibrium price. In our case, the consumer surplus is determined by the ABD triangle on the graph, which is colored in blue and is also equal to 16. You can get this number similarly as you did for the producer surplus by multiplying the AB side by the BD side and dividing it by 2. As for the total surplus, it is simply the sum of the producer and consumer surplus, which is 32 in our case. I hope you found this video useful and let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Thanks for watching and don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos.